All right, welcome back to H2H, week number 18 in the NFL. Tasos, I'm coming off of a big week last week. I go 4-0. We were just talking about it before we started recording. It really wouldn't have mattered what you did that week because I hit a bunch of plus money plays going 4-0, and one of them was the fade me. So good week for me. Puts you in a pretty damn tough predicament now because you got to win out. We have our preseason episode this week, and then also the rest of the playoffs for you to be able to tie. And we did say if you do tie, you take the victory because you allowed me to have that with the big lead last year when you had it. So, yeah, how you feeling heading into week 18? It's a weird week.
I feel like the Bengals. I feel like the Bengals where it's like, yeah, I have a chance, but I need this to happen. And crazy enough, though, the Bengals could make the playoffs if the Dolphins somehow lose to the Jets, and they beat Pittsburgh. But yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat where it's like, it's an uphill battle. I mean, not only do I need to win out, I got to win the next 5 weeks.
Yep.
I have to make sure the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl, and so that's
true.
That's like it. So it's an uphill battle. We're not dead, and that's as long as you're giving me a chance. We're gonna keep going. I mean, obviously, regardless if I win or lose, we're gonna keep doing the videos through the end of the season, like you did last year. But
by the way, that's not a place you want to be in. Last season, when it was like divisional round and I'm already eliminated, and we're doing these videos, the competitive juices aren't as you're not firing on all cylinders. So I hope you're in that position just so you can experience what I had to experience.
The only thing I'll say about this week that's positive for me is the fact that this is a real wonky week with obviously a lot of teams having nothing to play for, a lot of teams sitting there with guys. So. And it's really, I'm hoping that you fall into one of these landmines of some of these games. And because you've been, like I said, claps for you. I mean, you've been incredible. Like I said, 4-0 this week with like massive plus money hits.
Yeah.
I would have had to go 4-0 in order to beat you this week.
Yep. You did hit your double down. I'll give you credit there, but you know that I am one to fall into a landmine too. Like I feel like this is what you've been waiting for. I'm pretty well versed so far in the situations for playoffs and whatnot here, but I will say not as much as I'd like to be. Like before I do my Sunday slate video and stuff, that's when I have my time to sit down and like make sure to figure out like what game matters for what and whatnot. I'm probably like 50% of the way there right now, so there could be a landmine that I absolutely walk on. I feel the little click and I'm like, oh no, I can't pick up my foot or this thing's going to blow. So you could be in a good spot here, but overall, yeah, I mean, if I take one more week, it's wonky. It could go either way. You're in a tough spot, but you know what? I hope you have to experience it. I want you to experience what I had to go through.
I'll still be fired up because you know what? I'll try to win the moral victory of like, hey, you know what? If you add one more week to the season, which Goodell's going to do soon, I probably win. So like,
you were heating up right. You got you at the wrong time. You're heating up right at the end of the year.
Give me a couple more weeks and it would have changed. But I want to throw something out to you. And obviously, people who watched the show last year, this is a big thing. It hasn't happened much this year. My immune system's been better. I'm sick, and if you remember last year, whenever I got sick, all of a sudden it just like got real hot, and I'm pretty sick. So don't want to throw that out there, but that could be the factor that turns the tides here. So just be careful. That's all I'm going to say. Tread lightly.
It's a coincidence that all of a sudden you're like, I need to win out, and he gets sick. This guy's going there.
I started looking some sidewalks, like.
Hey, you cough in my mouth right now.
Are you sick? I have a drink of your water.
Yeah. But guys, if you don't know how this show works, it is an NFL pick show in which we have 4 rounds. We spin a wheel for the first 3 rounds that dictates which category we take picks in. It's a snake draft. The last round is the fade me round, which is really, really cool. So we'll stick around. You should stick around, and we will tell you a little bit more about that later on. But Tasos, you want to tell the people about Outlier before we do jump into it?
Yeah, guys, Outlier is the best sports betting tool on the market and the sponsor of all the H2H videos this season. And they're just a really good sponsor overall of the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. It consolidates all the information, all the data that you need to make smart sports betting choices. I mean, especially with the NFL playoffs coming up. We're in the midst of the college football playoffs. NBA's in full swing. NHL's in full swing. We have so much going on right now, guys. Having Outlier by your side is a fantastic tool. You also got college basketball, men's and women's. You've got soccer going in full swing between Champions League, Europa League, all the other individual domestic leagues. Like, there's so much, and Outlier covers all those sports, and they give you insights and data and information, patterns, trends, everything. And if you guys don't think sports are analytical when it comes to sports betting, you got to start looking into it because analytics are the name of the game. This is Moneyball times 10 when it comes to sports betting, but Outlier is the best. It saves so much time. We talked about it before. like before Outlier, the amount of time we spent doing research was probably double, maybe even triple. But now it takes everything. It puts it in one little easy and convenient place. So go check that out. We have a link down below in the description that gives you a 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. You got nothing to lose. You try for 7 days. You don't like it, you can cancel it. No cost to you at all. But I guarantee you guys, once you get a taste of Outlier, you're going to get hooked. Just saying.
100%.
So go ahead and check it out.
In our comments all the time, it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you turned me on to that and blah, blah, blah. Because it's like, it's not BS when we say that. You know what I mean? Yeah, go check out Outlier, guys. That link will be down below. Like Tasos said, 7-day free trial. And honestly, the crazy part is that even after that 7 days, it's super, super manageable. It's $19.99 a month. Like, you hit a couple plays with this, it's literally.
I was gonna say, you hit one or two bets on that, you break even on that.
It's awesome, yeah. But all right, Tasos, you want to jump into the wheel here and get going?
I'm ready. Like I said, I keep going through the lines. This is gonna be a really weird week. But
I'm nervous that I'm gonna say something. You're gonna be like, this is the case, and then there's not like, and I'm like, because I'm not. Like I said, I'm not as. That's the beauty of this show. You know what I mean? It's not like the most. You can get killed in the comments, sure, but like we do this earlier in the week. Some guys might not play. Like there's a lot that goes into our individual videos and whatnot. This one's a little bit more like firing from the hip sometimes, which this is definitely one of those weeks for me. But all right, I'm gonna pop up a wheel on the screen. You guys will see it. It's gonna have 3 Ev slices, 3 Tasos slices. This is simply to determine who goes first, and then it's a snake draft from there. I'm imagining you want the reins right now. You want to set the tone.
Yes, because I don't have a lot in the chamber, so getting it early and firing off is very much important.
All right, let's spin it. I'm kind of in the same boat.
Let's see. Where are we going? I think it's going to get me.
That's going to go to you. Yep.
All right. That's good. We needed that. We needed that big time.
All right, so Tasos is going to be starting us off.
Field of landmines here, where there's so many.
There really is.
That guy's not playing.
There really is. All right, we're going to see the next wheel on the screen here. And this one simply is going to have just 5 slices in the wheel this week. I think this is the least. This is probably the least amount we've had all season. But we figured usually we're having like 2 totals, 2 money lines, 2 spreads, that type of thing. I figured, Tasos, like with the weirdness going on this week, like we don't want to potentially have like 2 of the same one and really have to. So.
No. Like I would not want 3 spreads this week. That would be disastrous.
Right. So I figured it was like, all right, at least for the show and for our sanity, let's slim this thing down. You know what I mean?
Keep it simple.
All right. Which one do you feel like you have you're going first now? So whatever we roll here, you get first pick. What do you think you're looking for?
I've got like one really good play for each category. I'd say player prop just because the player props at the time of recording, like I have a pretty good idea who's playing, who's not. But then obviously come, Sunday that could change. So I'd like to get the player props out of the way early.
All right. I agree. I have one player prop that I really like this week. And I think everyone's going to be all over it. So I'm a little worried about that, but let's go ahead and spin it. So if it gets it and you take this player prop, I have a pivot, but I don't know. Let's see. And of course,
we're going spread right
off
the top.
There's a couple spreads out there at least.
There are. There's a couple that I like, and I think I'm going to go ahead and try and find. I had a couple that I really liked off the rip. Let me go ahead and see what's the one. All right. I'm going with this one, and this is going to be – it's tricky because this is a team that is sitting a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. My motivation is more of the other team really needs to lose this game.
Oh, no.
Way more. I'm going Eagles -2.5. Now, I know no Saquon. I know no Jalen Hurts. They're probably not going to play A.J. Brown, all these things. The Giants right now, despite losing last week, let me go ahead and look on Tankathon here. I'm pretty sure they have the 3rd pick still.
The Giants have they bumped out of the number 1, right? I think they have the number 4 pick.
The 4th pick. Okay. They can't afford because with a win here, now you're in that like 7-8 category. They really can't afford that. And I know people are like, oh, teams don't care and everything. First of all, Drew Lock's not doing that again. I'm sorry to all the Drew Lock believers out there. That's an outlier. Shout out outlier. I don't think it's happening again. And like I said, the Giants, I know people are like, oh, teams don't care about that. If you don't think the Mara family want to lose this game more than anything. Like, they need to. If they lose this game, they still get the top 4 pick. Maybe one of those top 3 teams happen to win a game there, or something wonky happens, and the Giants can somehow leapfrog back up. But especially when it comes to like trading up potentially to get a better pick, maybe with New England, if New England can hold the number 1 overall pick. You don't want to be at like 8 trading up to 1 because you got to give them more assets. If you're 4 trading to 1, a little better. Now, is it smart to bet based off of draft pick position? No, because obviously last week, if you did that with the Colts, you got screwed over because the Giants obviously upset. But I think the Eagles is also, they're kind of locked into the 2 seed, so there isn't too much to play for there if you're Philly. But I think that the Giants, no matter what, A, they're not a very good team to start with, but B, I do think that the draft pick thing is a factor here. The Eagles, even with a lot of their starters out, are still a really solid team. It should be good enough to beat the Giants, who also are resting players as well. So I think Eagles minus 2.5, still a good spot. Kenny Pickett's been playing pretty solid for the most part. So I like the spot here for Philly minus 2.5.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I feel like they do kind of, the Eagles, obviously that's my Super Bowl pick too, so I have nothing bad to say about them.
Yeah.
They do got something going on, like the vibes are high there, and obviously now you're talking about betting against the tank or betting for the tank. I'm talking about taking vibes. That's not always the case, but like this Giants team at the same time is just so bad. You know what I mean? Like the Giants number 1s are just going to be just as good, if not like slightly worse than the Eagles number 2s. So this is going to be a spot in which I'm sure there's a lot of guys on the Eagles that want to show, that I can play and that I'm decent, because they haven't really gotten many chances this season. They're at home against divisional. Like I like the spot. I do like it. I would say I guess only cause for hesitation is truly just that the Eagles might care less about winning this game than the Giants do about trying to tank. You know what I mean? Like literally they don't, like you said, it doesn't matter if they win or lose. They have the 2 seed. But either way, like I'm thinking the guys on the field and whatnot are going to be like, they're not playing in the playoffs. This is their last chance, some of these guys. So I don't mind that spot. I kind of have a similar look here. I am going to go with a first half spread, which makes me feel a little bit more confident that the first half spread is the same exact spread as the game spread. So I think that obviously the books know what's going on here, and I think that the team's been pretty vocal about it. The Bills minus 2.5 in the first half against the Patriots. Josh Allen is said to be, the starters are going to play a little bit of this game. I wouldn't be surprised they get out to like a 14-0 lead in the first quarter and then things slowly creep back the Patriots' way. But even to your point about the Giants, you think the Patriots want to win a game against the Bills late in the year? Like the Patriots are in a dream scenario right now. Like they had the 1 seed, number 1 pick given to them. All they have to do is go in there and lose this game. I'm not saying they're going to try to, but the Bills, knowing that, or at least at the time of recording, knowing that they've said the starters will play a little bit, tells me that, give me a good, strong first quarter. I was going to take first quarter spread, but that just seems a little risky, right? Like, what if the Patriots score first? So first half, give me half the game for them to go out there and get a 3-point lead. And then, isn't that weird? Am I missing something? Like that the first half spreads minus 2.5? It's for minus 108, by the way. First half spreads minus 2.5 and the full game's minus 2.5? Or does that make sense?
It makes sense because, like I said, they're going to be putting Mitch Trubisky in at some point, and then they're probably going to rest a lot of this because the Bills they are locked in at the 2 seed, so they don't really have anything to play for here. So I think it's more of an incentive thing. They want Josh Allen to win MVP, so that's why they're going to give him that extra start. Maybe he gets a couple touchdowns in there. I think the thing with New England is, and this is what scares me, and we're going to have a little Patriots talk here real quick as we're both Patriots fans. I'm obviously on the fire Gerard Mayo train. I don't think it's going to work. I'd rather go get Vrabel. My biggest fear is this guy's going to he's like, you want to fire me? All right, I'm going to give you one last gift on the way out. I'm going to win this game and screw you out of the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, and the fact that they're even, like, Drake May's hurt, and he's like, yeah, we're going to go with Drake May on Sunday. It's like, great. So I hope New England loses this game. For all the Patriots fans out there who are like, oh, that's loser behavior. It's like, dude, I'd rather lose one more game in a 3-14 season than, what is 4
loser behavior. The Patriots we watch every Sunday are losers behavior. Is the Patriots right now. Like that's it. It's not loser behavior to want to lose and stuff. It's like, no, the team is loser behavior. That's it. So
they don't want to lose. They just suck so bad that they lose every week. The only reason I didn't take this is because I could feel, like, you could feel the energy in the room as they need to save their jobs. Like Mayo, they've already been talking about, like, hey, barring major collapse, he'll be fired. And it's like, well, the last time we saw them, they got smoked by the Chargers. if they lose in this game too, you now all of a sudden opens the door for maybe, hey, Mayo's out. Obviously, Van Pelt and all those guys could be out. So I do
Yep.
think there's a factor here where the coaches are coaching for their jobs, and that scares me a little bit because I do think like in a game where the Bills don't give a shit, Gerard Mayo could be
Yep.
a Super Bowl, and he could pull out all the reins, and it's like, where was this all season long? So
Yeah, that would be
the only thing I'm Mitch Trubisky, the last time he was with the Bills, when he got his opportunities to come in, whether it be garbage time or end of the season, he was really good. Like he looked really good with them. So maybe Mitch Trubisky, who has a lot of starting experience, obviously in the NFL, maybe he gets the job done. But I don't know if the Bills care enough. And honestly, if you're Buffalo, you might honestly want to let New England win because you don't want to give New England number one overall pick. I don't.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's deep. That you
do
might be
these
right.
things
though.
matter? Do the coaches or anything think of these things? Probably not. But like as a fan, that's what I'm going to think. Because if you're a division rival, the Patriots kicked your ass for 20 years. Do you really want to help them get back into
I know
supremacy?
back-to-back top 3 picks, one of which being the number 1 pick. Yeah, I could see that. And do you think, Tasos, there's a strong chance now, by the way, comment landmine if you made it this far in the video. There's a strong chance we both just walked into landmines because we're taking the number 2 seeds that they don't have anything to play for just because they're playing such bad teams and they're good teams. We're both like, these are no-brainers. It's like we both are in very similar situations here. We could have just both walked into 2 landmines that were like, oh, they really don't care. And the Giants win and the Patriots win. And
that is my favorite with both these picks. Like we're overestimating how much they actually are going to try in these games. Like they might actually just be like, "Fuck it, we're not going to."
Yeah, like even Kenny Pickett doesn't because of his ribs. Like they play that McKee guy. It's like everybody is potentially out of the Eagles, and Josh Allen maybe plays 2 snaps just so he gets a game started. Like I don't know, but
I will say this though: this is the one pick this year where like I'm actually rooting heavily for this pick. Like I'm willing to take the L on you winning this pick if it means the Patriots get the first overall pick in the draft. I'm willing to battle from 0-1 already or whatever. You being 1-0.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for you on this pick. So
I should have saved it for Fade Me, so you had to root for the Patriots. But all right, let's jump into round number 2 here. I'm going to be starting us off. We do now have no spread on there, which is very good. I'm happy about that. We still have plus money play, which could get interesting. Player prop, money line, and total. I'm going first. I want to get my player prop in there. I think it's going to be a chalk pick this week, but I still really want it. I do have a pivot from it as well. I guess I don't have to pivot if we do get it because I'll be going first. So let's see if I get that. Okay, couldn't be further away from my player prop.
We're gonna get a total.
All right, total. That is probably my least favorite spot this week. I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna go with a team here that this same sort of thing. They're kind of locked into their situation, if I'm not mistaken. But I do believe they're playing a team in which they could score a lot against, and they already did score a lot against, I believe, earlier this year. Back in November, they did hit this over. This is an alternate line for plus money. I don't know if they're going to play everyone or whatnot. I probably wish I had a little bit more info on that, but right now I'm looking at the a team total. I'm going to look at the Commanders over, what do we have here? Commanders over 24.5 for plus money. So just taking a little bit of a shot here. Go get 25 points for plus money. Do I think that it's the best spot? I will tell you, not necessarily, but with young guys, a lot of young guys on this team, and heading into the playoffs, I don't think this is a team that fully takes their foot off the gas or anything. Do you know what I mean? Like you need to have your reps. Jaden Daniels is so good. He can't just go out there and be like, yeah, take the week off. What if he loses his rhythm, like, and all that type of stuff? I think that this team kind of, regardless of their playoff position, regardless of how much this game matters, does need to go out there and fire to some degree. And for them to go get 25 points, I really don't mind the spot. And I went with a plus money. I considered 23.5 because I think 24 is obviously more of a key number in football. But overall, them scoring 25 points, they've done plenty this season. 10 of their 16 games. When they are on the road, it's a little bit more dicey. Only 3 of their 7. But overall, again, they did this against the Cowboys earlier in the year. I don't really mind the spot.
Yeah, I mean, they do. The Commanders do technically have something to play for. Now, they already clinched the playoffs, so it's not like it's like, oh, we need this game to win. There's a seeding factor here where it's like you could potentially get. Now, the highest you can get is a 6 seed because whoever loses that Vikings-Lions game will be the 5 seed. I'm looking right now at where they currently sit.
Could they bump to 7 and play the Eagles?
Well, that's the thing. So right now, the Commanders are the 6 seed at the time of recording. So if the Commanders win, they lock up the 6th seed. Right now, that means you're playing the Rams. I don't know about you. I'd rather play the Rams than the Eagles. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially with the way the Commanders and the Eagles have played. The Eagles beat them both times this year. Actually, no, the Commanders beat them last time, right?
The Eagles, yeah. But
Yeah, that was the game
but
where Jalen Hurts went out.
Hurts got hurt, and it was kind of like a fluke, like Jaden Daniels' legacy drive at the end of the game. So
yeah,
a
but
lot
I think
there.
if you're Washington traveling to Philly, playoff atmosphere in Philly, I don't think you want that. I think you'd rather go to LA. That Rams defense is kind of crappy, so I think you'd rather play that Rams team. But yeah, I can't hate this one too much. The Cowboys defense looked really bad too the last couple games. Like they were looking really solid for a little bit.
They were looking good, yeah.
And then the last 2 weeks, I mean, they gave up 20. They actually beat the Bucs, but they still gave up 24 in that game. But then they got crucified by the Eagles last week, 41-7, in the game where Kenny Pickett played most of the game, and they put in Tanner McKee late. Like it was not very good.
McKee threw a touchdown to AJ Brown, right? It's like
yeah.
Even he torched him.
So I don't know. Like I said, this personally, I would feel safer if I took. And I actually was one of the picks I was considering was the overall total at 44.5. I think that would have been the safer play because I do think Dallas could score some points because Washington's defense is not all that great. But I mean, I don't hate it. My only question would be how much is Washington going to play? And then, if Mariota comes in, how is Mariota going to look with that offense? So, yeah, it's risky. That's definitely a risky play for plus money, though. I mean, it's worth
so that's what I was going to say. That's why I bumped it up a couple points just to get to plus money because I know that, like, I think that they're either going to score a lot of points or not, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Like me taking over 23.5 for now minus 135 odds. It's like that's only 1 point. That's a lot of juice to be paying for that 1 point. I think that they kind of score 27 or beyond or 21, so that's why I moved it to plus money. I do hear you. I don't mind the idea of the overall total, but like Dallas also just scored 7 points last week. Like there's no guarantees, and I think CD might not be playing too, so it's like kind of questionable to go full game total. But it's not like Washington's defense has been like spectacular the last few weeks, so could have been a good move. But anyways, that's what I'm going with, plus 102.
All right, I'm bringing it back. I don't know why I abandoned this strategy because it worked like 4 weeks in a row, and I haven't done it in like a month.
The big tease.
I'm mad at myself for bringing back the big tease. So we're gonna go ahead and rock with let's go ahead and bring it up here. The Panthers Falcons over 40. We're gonna do a 7-point tease, which I believe you do 2-leg teaser. I think it's minus 130. I believe that's how it works.
We'll get the odds on the screen.
Yeah, so we'll do 7-point tease. Do a little extra. I usually do 6, but we'll do 7 to play it safe. We'll take the Falcons Panthers over down from 48.5 to 41.5. Both these defenses suck. Carolina's offense has been looking really good. Atlanta's offense now with Michael Penix looked better. So obviously Atlanta needs to win this game just to have a chance to make the playoffs. So there's that factor there. Carolina, I think, wants to play spoiler. So, I think they're going to see a healthy amount of points in this game. Neither team can make a stop. Both those teams defensively, they're like 2 of the bottom 5 worst defensive teams in the NFL. So I think you're going to see, a healthy amount of points in that one. And then for my second one here, I'm going to go ahead and rock with this one. Now, I'll be front and honest. It scares me a little bit. We're going to do the Jaguars Colts over, teasing it from 45.5 down to 38.5. Again, kind of the same principle. Both bad defenses. Neither of these teams have anything to play for. The Colts are out and the Jaguars are out. But, I think that you're going to probably have Joe Flacco versus Mac Jones, which is, I guess, an elite matchup. But Jacksonville with Mac Jones has actually been playing pretty well lately. I mean, last week they beat Tennessee 2013. They haven't been scoring a ton of points, I'll be honest. But the game that makes me compare this to is the Jags game from a couple weeks ago. That game was 32-25. And I think you can see a very similar game. Now, these two teams played obviously once this year earlier, and that game was 37-34. Now, granted, that was, Joe Flacco versus Trevor Lawrence. And they also, obviously, early in the year, they both were trying to win that game. Now, I don't know if either of these teams really want to win, but, you do have, I think, both coaches kind of coaching for the jobs, Doug Peterson and probably Shane Steichen. As much as I like Steichen, he hasn't been too successful with the Colts. So I just think both not great defenses, both offenses that they're not, I wouldn't call them good either, but, Jonathan Taylor, there's probably some incentives he's going to go try and get in this game. Mac Jones is trying to prove that, hey, I can be a quarterback in this league. I think if you take that down to 38.5, it's a pretty reasonable total. Again, the last time these two teams played, they combined for 71 points. So we only need them to, you can cut 30 points off that total and it still hits. So, I think that's the way to go. Again, it's tough with totals this week because you don't know how it's going to go, but I think that's the right way to go about that.
Yeah, I mean, my only thing, and it's probably what everyone's thinking right now. It's like Panthers, Falcons, Jaguars, Colts. Like the people you're inviting to the party here. Yeah, they might have a good time, but they could also be absolute. Like, you didn't show up with any booze, you didn't bring any snacks, you just came empty-handed to this thing.
Oh, Colts Jaguars could easily be like 10-7. Like, I could definitely see
yeah,
that being a real possibility. But
I could
hoping that they play like their normal pace.
I could see obviously Young and Penix kind of having like a that type of thing, like where, oh, look at these two young quarterbacks type of thing. But even still, like those are scary now. That being said, and by the way, I just threw that into DraftKings as a parlay versus as selecting teaser,
Yeah.
minus 114 odds. So,
okay, so not as
yes.
bad.
And by the way, I've noticed that too. Like when you do your teasers and I plug them in, for anyone watching, if you do the
Parlays is
teaser
more
option,
valuable.
sometimes if you just parlay the alternate lines, the odds could be different. So yeah, minus 114. The teasers, like you said, minus 130 and minus 140. That's a decent amount of, saving some change there. So minus 114, we'll put in with that one. But what I was going to say is that you do have you're taking a whole touchdown and extra point off the board. So that does a lot. And you've been on fire with these teasers, so I can't knock it. But like I said, the people coming to the party, it could be the situation where like, why is this the group I invited? Do you know what I mean? Like, who brought these guys? Yeah, like, who do you know here? So yeah, I don't mind it, but I think I'd only go as far as like I don't mind it, which is fair, right? We wouldn't know what these guys are bringing to the table in the middle of the year, never mind like at the end. But that could be it could totally be, I can picture now, like, where were these offenses all year long? Like, as a broadcaster is saying, it's like, yeah, I could see it. So yeah, I'm I guess on board with that, but I got an exit row seat. I'm ready to get off if I need to.
I mean, to be fair, so the Colts Jags, one last data point here. The last 3 meetings, this over has crushed. I mean,
Okay.
37-34 this year, back October last year, 37-20. The matchup before that, September of last year, 31-21. So these Colts Jaguars games typically tend to be a little higher score. Remember, last year you have like some Gardner Minshew in there, so like that was that factor. So I mean, you have that going for me, I guess. And then look at the Falcons and the Panthers this year, 38-20 back in October. The Falcons won. Before that, you did have a 9-7 game, kind of a similar scenario last year in December. But to be fair, they were both bad teams last year.
Yep.
At least Atlanta's kind of relevant. Carolina's trending in the right direction. And then the time before that was 24-10. So the Falcons-Panthers one's actually the one that's a little more scary, despite the fact that earlier this year, the total was like 58 in that game. But,
okay. All right. Like I said, I can't really hate on it. And I feel like both of our picks this week, it's like, well, you could make the argument you don't know either way anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right. I don't want to be too much of a Grinch here. But all right, we got one last round before Fade Me. You're going to be starting us off. We got player prop, plus money play, and money line. Any of you still preferring player prop?
No, I'm more on the line of like a plus money player or money line, just because
I
have player prop, but I have actually 2, but I feel a little bit more confident on my, like, I know as I say this, we're gonna get player prop, but if we don't get player prop here, I don't have to pick one today. You know what I mean? So like I'm fine with that. I'm okay with not taking a player prop today.
I have one that I really like I said, and then one that I can pivot off of it if I need to. So I want to get this player prop in there. We'll just see if we're able to. So let's go ahead and spin it. That would be my preference. Is it gonna move? Is it gonna come on, baby?
Oh no!
All right. If you take this one from me, I don't know. I wonder if you have it.
I don't know how you're going to go about this. I'm going to go with this one here. I'm going to go Vikings-Lions Sunday Night Football. We're going Justin Jefferson here, over 89.5 receiving yards. We're getting that for minus 122 on FanDuel, I guess. It is Bet365 underdog, but those obviously aren't as widely accepted, I guess. So we do FanDuel minus 122 there. Pretty good data. He's cashed it in 2 of his last 3 meetings against Detroit. The one time they played this year, back on October 20th, he had 81 yards in that game, so he just barely missed the mark by 9 yards. The previous times before that, last year, 192 on January 7th. Time before that, on Christmas Eve of 2023, 141 yards. So he's had some pretty big games against the Lions. Let's look at the overall data. The last 10 games for Justin Jefferson, 6 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, a 60% hit rate, averaging 94.8. If we narrow it down even further, the last 5 games, 4 of his last 5 games, he's cashed the over, 80% hit rate, averaging 108 yards per game. And that is the insight provided by Outlier also, 4 of his last 5 games. So really good numbers. So far in 2024, a 50% hit rate, 8 out of 16 games, averaging 92.44 receivers. Actually, that's at 91. That's actually at the 91.5 line. If we go back to, I said 89.5. I don't think the numbers change. Yeah, it still remains the same. But the point is, he's averaging 92 yards per game this year. So we're basically just asking him to have an average performance. Also, if we go ahead and look at Detroit's defense, receiving yards overall, they've kind of fallen off in a big way due to the injuries and whatnot. They are the 3rd worst defense in the NFL in terms of receiving yards allowed versus wide receivers. They're actually the worst defense in the NFL in terms of yards allowed to wide receivers, giving about 190 yards per game. So good spot here. The Lions defense is banged up. Minnesota, obviously, this is one of the games where they actually have a reason to play. They're fighting for that 1 seed. So, this Lions defense, with the way they're banged up, with the way that Sam Darnold's been playing lately, I like Justin Jefferson in this spot. Obviously, if you want to win a game like this, you go to your number 1 wide receiver. I think Jay Jettas is the way to go. They throw it at 56% pass rate, which is about league average. So it's not like they're like a crazy big passing team. The key thing here is that the target share, Jefferson dominates 145 targets, 30.3% target share. He is by far their go-to guy. He's averaging about 9 targets per game, averaging about 6 receptions per game. So tons of volume. He gets thrown to a bunch. He doesn't really, his average yards per reception is 15 yards. So you don't need him to have, 8, 9, 10, 6 catches. Realistically, he's going to get, close to 100 yards off 6 catches. So I like the spot. I think, again, Lions defense, with the way it's currently constructed, I think it could be a big game. And again, the fact that they have something to play for, the key thing, even if, let's say Detroit takes a lead, that might even be better for us because that means they're going to be chucking it all game long. So I like the spot a lot for Jefferson here. I also considered his receptions. I thought that was also a decent play. But I think the receiving yards are a little bit safer because you don't want to end up where it's like 5, you take the receptions and he ends up with like 5 catches, 100 yards, in the line 6.5 receptions. I think the receiving yards is the safer way to play, but I think the moral of the story is I think Jefferson's going to be due for a really big game in this spot.
Yeah, this is probably the game to target, right? Like if you're talking true normal week to week football, this is a good spot. And nearly 140 against the Detroit, nearly 140 per game against Detroit in the past, almost doubling this line. Not really, but still a bunch of yards. Yeah, I can't hate it. One player prop that I looked at that would be tied to this was Sam Darnold's either completions or yards too, which obviously it's going to go. So I was of the same exact mindset. We've seen teams now for a little while, like look at this Detroit defense or this Detroit secondary and say, yeah, like we can get them. The problem is Detroit's offense is so much better than a lot of these other teams' offenses. But think about the point you're making. It's like, well, if Detroit's offense is so much better than theirs, that's almost just going to favor Justin Jefferson as the longer the game goes on, because it's going to become, what if Detroit gets up 14-0? It's like, well, the Vikings will put up, I think they will put up some points in this game, right? That total is at 56. Like, you're telling me a total of 56 and you're taking the best wide receiver in the game. Like, I know Amon-Ra and whatnot. It's like, no, Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in that game. I don't mind that spot at all. And yeah, I like it. I'm also looking at a wide receiver, Tasos, and this one, like I said, I think it's going to be a public pick this week because there's been a lot of talk about it. Baker Mayfield's commented on it. Mike Evans needs only 85 yards to essentially it's either break history or join some historical rank of having 1,000 yards receiving. His line right now is 92.5 from -115. I think I like the over here. Baker Mayfield, as quarterback, is saying, yeah, we're going to get Mike that. We're going to get Mike that number and blah, blah, blah. It's like, even if they weren't saying that, I kind of like the idea of him going off. Now, this is a high line. Like he's only hit the over here in 4 games this season. So that's why I'm saying it's super, super public. I think everybody's going to be taking it. But you know what? Baker Mayfield doesn't mess around. When he says, like, he's going to get it. Excuse me, now I'm getting sick. When he says he's going to get it, it's like I kind of trust Baker. Like, he just does his Baker bakes out there, and Mike Evans is his favorite target. So yeah, Mike Evans over 92.5. Are they going to care about this game against New Orleans? I guess not.
Yes.
It could, yeah, because it impacts their seeding.
I'm going to help you out here.
It impacts. They could be the what's they could be the 3 seed, right?
They need to win the game. If they lose and Atlanta wins, Atlanta takes and Tampa gets knocked out of the playoffs. So Tampa Bay win and you're in. They win this game, they win the division, they end the playoffs as the as the
Yeah, because they would be the 4 seed. They would be the
4
4
seed, 4
seed,
seed.
and then Atlanta would take the 4 seed, and Atlanta's playing the Panthers. So yeah, wow, even better, right? Okay, so great.
Helping you out there.
That helps even more. But yeah, I think they're just going to go to him early and often, and like I know a lot of people would say like, oh, you can't take the players what they're saying for face value and all that. It's like when Baker Mayfield tells reporters we're going to get Mike that record, I kind of believe it more than probably anyone else in the entire league. You know what I mean? Like he's not
Yeah.
lying. So
Oh,
yeah,
this is kicking myself that I didn't think about this one. And I remember reading this earlier too about this. Great pick. Like I said, you've had a great year. I can't even like. I
Tasos,
want to.
he also has like
I
a
was. I
2
was.
point
I was
something
watching
million
some.
dollar incentive for something. If he hits
Yeah.
if he hits the 1,000, I think he gets like a crazy it's the biggest incentive play too monetarily this week as well for him. So that's crazy.
Yeah, like I was looking back to some videos last year, just kind of going through film, seeing what did I do last year. The reality was I was more of an asshole to you last year. I was kind of crapping on your picks more. I can't do that this year. Like I don't. I genuinely. I'd be lying. I'd be acting if I tried to hate this. It's a great pick. I mean, no, you didn't even mention it, but the Saints' defense this year versus passing
Fair.
has been horrific. 27th receiving yards allowed overall versus wide receivers, 28th, giving up 165 yards per game to wide receivers. The head-to-head. Now, the one thing against you is that he hasn't cashed his needs of his last 3 games against the Saints. But if I'm not mistaken, the last time they played the Saints, I want to say, did he get hurt in that one? Was that the one where he
I
got
don't know,
injured?
but they were winning by like
They
50.
won
That was
51-27.
they were
Yeah.
crushing them. So like that makes sense. He only had in that game, he only had like I think 2 receptions.
Yeah, 2 catches on 6 targets. So
Yeah.
not a really big game. But yeah, I mean, the fact that, there's an incentive there, and they need to win the game, so they have to throw the ball. They're not going to take the foot off the gas in this one. The Saints defense against passing has not been great. So great prop across the board. Again, having that extra incentive of like, hey, he needs X number, and especially because it's like 85, you're right near where you need to be. That's like perfect.
I want to try to find that incentive because it was it was literally like I think Justin Jefferson might have had $3.7 million if he gets over 85 yards. So again, 92 and a half is what I have, but he can he can unlock nearly $4 million. I know these are guys that, that 4 million doesn't mean as much to them as it does, but 4 million is 4 million. You know what I mean? This is not a 500K bonus. This is $4 million. Like
this isn't like NBA Cup where it's like, hey guys, you win the NBA Cup, you get 500K. Like $4 million is a pretty decent, even for these guys. Like if you told, like in the NBA, not to compare sports, but like if you told LeBron or you told any of these guys, like you told Embiid, well maybe not Embiid, bad example. If you told Paul George, I'm gonna give you a $4 million bonus if you win the NBA Cup, he'd probably look like prime Jordan. Like he'd probably actually give a shit. But $4 million even for these guys is a lot of money. So love a great pick. Great pick.
All right, and I like yours too. I feel like those are 2 of the stronger ones. I was scratching my head at the total teaser, but I can't knock it because you've been on fire. But I love Jefferson in that matchup, and it sounds like you're on board with Mike. All right, we got the fade me round coming up. I have to imagine you want to take the reins on this one and get a play that you have in your bank.
Yes.
All right.
By the way, guys, fade the sorry to interrupt you there. The H2H parlay, I think that's a cool idea maybe for next year to explore more. Even the rest of this, the H2H parlay. Last week, it almost hit. I had the Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. Nico Collins, obviously Kelce cashed. Nico Collins did not. Could be like that Jefferson, Mike Evans could be a fun little player prop parlay.
We could think about doing that in the playoffs as we talk about it. Let us know in the comments if you guys, I know we got a bunch of comments last week agreeing with it, but should we do some sort of like, even though we're kind of adversaries here, obviously, and going up against each other, we could get to a point in the season if I get one more win where it's like, we're not playing for, like I'm going to cakewalk to the finals. We could have some of these parlays just for some added fun in there. Do you know what I mean? Or even we could even do like one round. It's like the H2H parlay, and I have to give my piece and you give your piece. And yes, it's not a win-loss, but you know what I mean? So yeah, let us know in the comments if you'd like the idea of some sort of like community parlay or something. Maybe we add a leg from the comments too. I think that could be pretty cool to kind of go as we move forward. But yeah, I like that idea. And Nico Collins, like again, product of his environment last week. Like they scored 2 points. That's just like what are you going to do at that time? That's just a bad game for them. But all right, Tasos, we're going to spin this one. If it lands on you, this is the fade me round. You get to pick anything under the sun. I have to take the opposite and vice versa. So let's go ahead and spin it. I'm curious as to what your strategy would be if you hit it, because you could either go chalk and try and make me get a loss or take a swing for the fences to get some units. So let's see what you got if it does land on you. If it lands on me, I have a couple, but
I'll be honest. I was thinking chalk, but I don't want to. It's going to be you anyways.
Oh my.
Barely, but it's going to be you.
Wow.
I
Okay.
thought about going chalk, but honestly, I don't think this is fun. I like the thrill of like, hey, it's going to be close.
Swinging for
So
the
I
fences.
probably wouldn't have gone chalk.
Yeah, I think that that's fair. All right. The only one that I like the idea of, to be completely honest, and it could kind of totally bite me in the ass here, is Bengals money line -125. You get the Steelers at +110. You like the Steelers?
You want? I'm not even
Go
kidding right now.
go go ahead.
You know, my favorite pick was going to be Steelers money line.
No way, really.
Yeah, I swear that was
I
going to
I
be my
think
pick.
I think that
That's
there's a
awesome.
couple factors here as to why I do like the Bengals. And like I said, it could bite me in the ass because this is a spot in which the Bengals could completely go belly up. Do you know what I mean? Like this is not a Bengals spot other than two factors in my opinion, or three, I guess you could say. Revenge game in a sense from that game. What was that, like Thanksgiving week, right? That's the least amount. The second would be that I do think, not to say that there's scripts and all that, I think that there's a little bit of the fixes in with Joe Burrow trying to be like or the league trying to preserve him as good as he is, because he is that good. And you hear them talking about MVP in the season that he's had while the Bengals have kind of stunk, right? And then secondarily, they are still fighting for a spot. Are they going to make the playoffs? I think we both know most likely not, right? But I think that there's a lot here that that could kind of attribute and contribute towards a Bengals win. Now, Pittsburgh, what is their situation? They're the fifth seed right now, right? If they win this game and is it the Chargers, and the Chargers lose, does that matter? Does that move anything? Like, could the
There is
Pitts?
a lot. There actually is a lot at play here for the Steelers.
Okay, because the only you could tell me that in 1 sec. Because I was gonna say there's no home field that they get home field advantage. Like, could they
I
flip
think
with?
I think they could get if Baltimore were to lose to Cleveland and Pittsburgh were to win. I don't know how the tiebreaker works because they both split their season series, so it would go off of I think strength of schedule against common
I think you're
opponent.
right. I think it's if Cleveland beats Baltimore, which is like, who
Yeah,
knows if
which
that's
is
gonna happen.
obviously probably not
But
going to happen.
the only that's what I was gonna say. The pieces that I mentioned, I like. The only reason that I think Pittsburgh could come in this thing gung ho is if they have a path, and I don't know that off the top of my head. If they have a path to getting, I think it would be the 3 seed, right, and then home field advantage. So go ahead.
Well, the key thing here too is not even the three. So obviously the 3 seed is technically still in play for them, but I don't think it's likely. What they are fighting for, and I think what's the more important thing is to keep. Now the lowest they can go is the 6 seed. The highest they can go is the 5 seed. Actually, no, incorrect. Apologies. Did the Steelers lose to the? Let me just look real quick. Did the Steelers lose to the Broncos? I think the Steelers beat the Broncos. Yeah. Okay. So they can't go any lower than the 6 seed. So
Yeah.
that is at least safe there. Unless Cincinnati were to win this game and Cincinnati were to be this. So I guess they could technically somehow, in a bizarro world scenario, end up the 7 seed. Ultimately, though, where they're really going to land is between either 5 or 6. Now that's a big difference. If you're the 5 seed, you get to go to Houston and play a Texans team that looks really bad right now. If you end up the 6 seed, you have to go to Baltimore, and you saw how that played out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to go to Baltimore in the playoffs. I think you'd much rather play this Texans team, which looks really beaten down and defeated right now. So the Steelers are playing for something here. Now they have clinched the playoffs already, so if they lose this game, they're fine. They're still a playoff team, but there is the seeding factor there. You have a lot of things going, like the Mike Tomlin underdog stats. I don't have them all in front of me, but obviously
We
you
know
guys
him.
know
Yeah.
the
They're
trend with Mike Tomlin. Not only an underdog, but a home underdog at that is a really big deal. Like Tomlin as a home underdog is like a 70% hit rate in his career. Like it's a big deal. You also the Steelers off of losses. Like his dad off of that is fantastic. Like usually coming off a loss. Especially when he loses by 10 or more points. He has like a 73% hit rate against the spread coming off that. So, like, he hit. Now, they just came off of a real, and I know people are shitting on them like this is the collapse, a real devil's triangle of a schedule. They went from Philly to Baltimore to KC, and they played Philly and Baltimore on the road in those games with Pickens being hurt, with some injuries. So, really rough run of the last 3 weeks for Pittsburgh, but gauntlet of a schedule. They also played all those games in a 10-day span. That's like the new NFL thing with the whole Christmas schedule. They played. Imagine that's insane to have to play Philly, Baltimore, and Kansas City all within 10 days. So you have no rest really in between. You had basically you had 6 days rest between Eagles, Ravens, and then you had 4 days rest between Ravens, Chiefs.
Mhm.
So really brutal run there for the Steelers. I think a lot of teams would have struggled unless you're the Detroit Lions or maybe the Eagles. I think a lot of teams struggle in that spot. But Pittsburgh is still a solid team. This defense is still pretty good. Again, they don't look as great because they played the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. So, it's hard for any good defense to look great against them. So Cincinnati, my big thing at the end of the day is their defense is just so bad. They should have lost last week. And I obviously I'm a little biased because I had Broncos money line in that game. They should have lost that game. The Broncos, however, and you can see some of the inexperience with Bo Nix, and you can see some of the inexperience with some of these guys, they choked. And the Bengals defense is just so legit. They cannot get a stop. And I know the Steelers offense isn't great, but the last time these two teams played back in December 1st, just not too long ago, the Steelers won 44-38. I could see this game being something similar. Now, the Bengals are going to score. It doesn't matter what defense they play. They're going to score points. I just wonder, can you stop Pittsburgh? Now, the key thing, obviously, is that I think Pickens is playing this week.
Yeah,
Let me
should
double
be.
check that.
Should be. I don't think he even has any injury designation this week.
Yeah, so they have him back. You also have the fact that Chase Brown is questionable with an ankle sprain. He probably isn't going to play, so you lose that on the Bengals offense. Burrow's actually questionable, but I don't think that really matters with the wrist, and he's going to play, obviously.
Yep.
But yeah, I like Pittsburgh a lot in the spot. I think all the underdog data, all the Mike Tomlin stuff, I do think Pittsburgh needs this win because you much rather go to Houston and maybe somehow things go your way and you end up the 3 seed. I don't think that's going to happen. But
I think if the Browns lose, I think it's literally that. If the Browns lose, if the Browns beat Baltimore, which again, that's kind of like because as much as we're saying that the Ravens want to solidify 3 seed, so they may play it a little bit of football too. You know what I mean? Like they're not just going to chalk it up. So, but either way, yeah. I mean, if there is a path for Pittsburgh, to your point, it's a crazy path, but even more reason to play, I guess. Like, like it doesn't matter if the Browns win and Pittsburgh doesn't, then wouldn't matter anyways. You know what I mean? So I get that. Yeah. I just do think that this is a spot in which, Joe Burrow's still kind of looking to go off in like almost this game could be the epitome of what's happened to him. He's had a great year. He's looked good. Everyone's talking about how good he is. Yet they've been losing. But this is the game where all kind of comes together. Pittsburgh remains the 5 seed or whatever they're at now, and Joe Burrow can put up 30 points. Which, if you think this game's going to be this is not now they've played better teams, but this is not the same offense we've seen from Pittsburgh. The last 3 weeks compared to what they were doing when I would say like maybe a month and a half ago. So that's kind of what I'm hoping too. Like if Cincinnati does put up points, does Pittsburgh have the ability to put up that many? We'll see.
I think so because the big thing, like I just said, like everyone, if you watch the media right now, like ESPN, all the talking head stuff, they're like, all the even Steelers fans, all the collapses here, the offense is regressed, Russell Wilson looks terrible again, and all that stuff. But it's like, again, you played 3 of the top 5 teams in the NFL over a 10-day, at least top, Ravens
and all with very good defenses.
All with very good defenses, all within 10 days with no rest. 2 of them on the road. That's a really rough spot for the Steelers to be in. I think any quarterback would have struggled in those circumstances. And you also add the fact that for the Eagles and the Ravens game, there was no George. I think Pickens was. I know he was out at least the Eagles game. I think the Ravens game he was out too.
Yeah, missed
they don't
two,
have
right?
they don't have receivers, so when no Pickens, it really kills them.
Yep.
I think the Steelers I do think this offense. I don't think it's a great offense, but this Bengals defense is so bad. I think Pittsburgh can put up some points, and I think defensively they are good enough where they can get that extra stop here and there. Again, Denver had it. Denver, they scored 30 points but took overtime to do it. The problem with Denver was they just could not finish. Like they had a couple of really good scoring drives, but they had some bad Bo Nix turnovers and stuff like that. So fair
enough.
It's a coin. The spread is where it's at for a reason. It's a coin flip. The big thing for me, and this is obviously isn't, there's no math behind this or science behind it, but I think this is such a massive public play. The bank, like everybody wants Cincinnati to win. They're the public darling. 71% of all tickets are on the Bengals. Now, obviously, there's a lot of money. It's not like there's any sharp action on Pittsburgh at all. But the Bengals, I just feel like everybody and their mother is going to be on Cincinnati in this game, and I just, the Steelers, insights provided by Outlier, they're 4-1 in their last 5 games versus bottom 10 scoring defenses. So I mean, they're they take advantage of the spot. I'm concerned with the Bengals. Their defense is just so bad. I don't know if they can.
How about this? I think this can help your side of things as well. Just using, so obviously you mentioned the percent of money and percent of bets on one side. If you look at the total, 65% of the plays are on the over, but 60% of the money on the under. Which team is more of like an under type team? The Steelers, right? So I
Yeah.
think that does help you. If you read into that, it's like sharps are coming in heavy on this under 47.5, which I do think favors Pittsburgh, cold this time of year, that type of game. So yeah, I guess that helps out. We'll see. Like I even said, the first thing I said when I meant this one, I was like, I don't know if I'm walking into something here, but and it sounds like it gave you exactly what you wanted. So this will be a good one. It's a Saturday night game, so we'll have this fade me round prior to a lot of our other plays here. So we shall see how it works out here. I still kind of trust Joe Burrow to try and end the season on as big of a high as he can after such a kind of a disappointing game here. And like they're still playing for. We didn't really what.
I'm gonna do something that's never been done before in the history of Fade Me.
Oh my God!
I'm
I
gonna
know
double down. I'm gonna double down on a pick that you gave me
you're gonna double
because
down on
you know
your
what?
fade me that you received.
Yeah, I don't want to have another scenario where you go 3-1 and I go 3-1 and you just haven't beat me on units. So this is a plus money. You did money line, right?
Yeah, you get plus 110. I get minus
Plus
125.
110. I'm going to do the double down on it. I really
Wow.
think Pittsburgh's going to win this. I think everybody has been drinking the Joe, and I love Joe Burrow, but they've been drinking the Joe Burrow Kool-Aid for a long time. This Bengals team does not deserve to be a playoff team. They're not. This defense is so bad. Now the running games. I mean, listen, Burrow, Chase, and Higgins have been great to watch, but
Yeah.
if this team, everyone's like, oh, we'd rather see the Bengals in the playoffs than Denver. If this Bengals team makes the playoffs, let's be realistic. They play Buffalo in Buffalo.
Yeah, get
That's
smoked.
a disaster.
Yeah.
They're gonna get smoked in that game.
Yeah.
So I think Pittsburgh's gonna take care of business here.
I'm kind of like you almost. I know the picks are locked in and stuff, but you almost have like flipped me to want the Steelers to win now because you just made history on the show. You doubled down on a fade me received play. Like that's a crazy move. So yeah, all right. I'm kind of now it's almost like a win-win for me. I want to win, but if they do, and I'll be like, all right, Tasos, that was pretty sick.
Like, yeah, I guess I was like, you know what? I can't afford another units loss. So this is a plus money play too.
Yep.
I like it. Love the spot. I am actually so thankful that you picked this because this is I'm being honest. This was gonna be my play. I love this. I was actually probably gonna take the spread, but I'm happy you gave me money line because that's the better play.
Yeah. All right. That is gonna be the 4 picks. Do you like your board this week?
I do. I like my board pretty much for considering how this slate was.
Yeah, I think
I'm impressed with what I got.
I agree with that. I'm kind of in the same boat here. I love our player props. That could be a parlay piece that we could roll with or something like that. Maybe we'll post it on Instagram or something like that if we do roll with it this week. But guys, that is week number 18. We're going to be heading into the postseason pretty soon. Even if mathematically, I've already taken it or Tasos gets eliminated type of thing, we'll still keep doing the show and maybe we'll do like weekly incentives or something to play for that week once we've already, once the season potentially is over. But it's not over yet. I don't mean to get ahead of myself. These are like famous last words. I want to make sure it's clear that I wouldn't put it past Tasos to rattle off the rest of the year and make it interesting down the stretch. But just FYI, like it's not like the minute mathematical equations come into the play and I've locked it up or Tasos has lost 1 week. The show will still go on until the Super Bowl. So looking forward to that. I think we can still make it fun and interesting and exciting and entertaining. But Tasos, anything to leave the people with here?
Just believe. Just believe.
All right,
just
fair
believe.
enough.
As Kevin Garnett once said, anything is possible. I'm not going to scream it because I don't feel well, so I can't really scream right now, but anything is possible. All right? Anything is possible. Any given Sunday, whatever other movie / player quote cliche.
The only one that's going to win the fight is the one going in willing to die.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. So, listen, we as long as we have a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. As long as there's a chance, I'm okay. And so, we one brick at a time. Win this week, we go on to the playoffs, and playoffs is a different beast because less games.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot more. So, get us in the playoffs, and we have a chance.
It can get dicey. You get like a spread pick in the playoffs, total pick in the playoffs. You could definitely take. There's a lot more stealing that could go on if we feel the same about a particular game. So that could be interesting. But all right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for week number 18. Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you guys are subscribed, hitting that like button, checking out Outlier as well. And yeah, I think it was landmine was the word that we said. Comment, right? If you guys made it to that point in the video, it's been a little while now, but still, go make sure you go ahead and comment landmine. But appreciate you guys tuning in, and this has been really fun. It's going to continue to be fun, but the regular season in the books, pretty excited about that. Yep. Catch you guys in the next one, right? So.